Perfect. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have an incredible guest with us, one who's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than the legendary poet out of Harlem, New York, Brother Layding. How are you doing, sir?
Fine, brother. I'm fine.
Excellent, sir. We are honored to have you. The first question that we want to know is, when did you know that you were a poet?
Back in the late 50s, my family had a singing group, and we wrote our own songs and stuff. So I knew that I had the ability to write poetic verse, you know. So from then on, after our group broke up, you know, I wanted to keep writing. So that's when the last poets and all of them came on the scene, and I got inspired by them to start writing, you know, poetry.
Okay. Yes, sir. And okay, there we go. Boom. And can we hear the first poem, sir?
The first poem?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is called A Mother's Song. I wrote this in tribute to Black women because when I grew up on the Lower East Side, the Black women were the ones who held it down, you know. That was back in the days when if you was poor and stuff like that and had to get public assistance or something like that, a man couldn't even be in the house, you know, at all. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I just started saying, wow, man, you know, we got so many stories and nobody tells our stories and nobody, you know, seems to care about our stories. So it was up to us to write our own. So I just started writing, you know, verse and I kept it real. You know, it was about my family and stuff who you never get to see in history books and stuff like that or any other kind of book. So
okay.
You want a poem, brother?
Yes, sir.
It's called A Mother's Song. If I were a singer of songs, I lift my voice mountain high in praise of mothers, women who give body and soul for family, scrub other people's floors to launch their children's dreams on swollen knees and bruised knuckles while wading in puddles of splintered suds. I would take the weight of Atlas's world if she didn't hold it steady. No, brother, I have to apologize. I'm just so shook up that I got to go to the page. Okay, if I were a singer of songs, I lift my voice mountain high in praise of mothers, women who give body and soul for family, scrub other people's floors to launch their children's dreams on swollen knees and bruised knuckles while wading in puddles of splintered suds. Mothers who would take the weight of Atlas's world if he failed to hold it steady, giving solid footing to her children. I sing lessons learned on mama's knee, teaching me about going on. At times I felt there was no place to go. And when I needed inspiration, I think of little Miguel's mother, who pitched batting practice after work, giving her son prayers and faith to go along with his batting glove so he wouldn't strike out when his dreams threw curves. I take the rhythms of mama's pots and pans, add a melody line, recall how she made a symphony from leftovers that fed hope to young dreamers, like Deborah's mother, who sharpened pencils on the cutting edge of her teeth because her daughter wanted to be a writer, and who always found time to make model airplanes with her son Kashif, whose dreams were about flight. And at times, when his dreams seemed out of reach, she'd pull the heavens down to tuck him in at night. If I were a singer of songs, I sing mother love equations, giving 364 days a year, receiving one in return and calling it even. If I were a singer of songs, I clap my hands, stomp my feet, lift my voice mountain high, and pull a praise song for mothers from the depths of my soul.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. People showing you love all across the country. Man, thank you all for watching. My sister Miriam says peace. We can't wait to put this on YouTube. And my sister Miriam says beautiful expression, Brother Layding. And we're going to put this on YouTube. Make sure people show you love all across the country. Now, for those who may not be in Harlem, New York, and can't see you perform your pieces live, is there somewhere for us to watch online some of your other pieces?
Yeah, there's a few interviews online I did with folks, but you know, they can go online. Brother Paul McIntosh, he's a librarian up here in Harlem, and he did a couple of interviews with me. So if you would go to Paul McIntosh, Brother Layding Calibar interview, you know, you can see some there, and there's a few scattered all over the place, you know, interviews and stuff. So maybe you can just hit my name in Layding Calibar and see what comes up. You know, sure something interesting would come up. And I was really I'm so frustrated with myself. I was really wanted to shoot a few poems out here tonight, you know, and really give people a taste of what it is I'm about. But me and technology don't dance together, man. You know, so
yes, sir. It's okay. We're right here with you. Okay, I have a question for you, sir. What poets inspired you besides the last poets?
I just love all poets. So everybody, you know, when besides the last poets, you know, all the Black Renaissance poets, you know, Sterling Brown and them, Claude McKay and Amiri Baraka and Larry Neal, the whole thing. Because I met just about every poet there was from the 70s to the present. You know, in New York, everybody comes through New York at one time or another, and I met them all, and I went out to their places and stuff, and you know, Hakeem Al-Budi and them in Chicago, you know, all those great poets. You know, we just have so many brilliant artists, you know, poets. So like I just inspired by brilliance, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My sister Miriam would like to know, do you have a favorite poem?
The favorite poem, yeah, is my own poem called A Mother's Song. It was a tribute to my mother. She passed away when I was 12 years old, you know, but her spirit that she instilled in me before she left us, you know, it inspired me to stay on the straight and narrow and, you know, and do right. Because before then I was one of those hard-headed kids running the streets and stuff like that and doing wild things. So I'll share that with you. Can I?
Yes, sir. And what is it called?
A Mother's Song.
Okay, absolutely.
I'm sorry. In the Absence of God is what I want to share with you. In the Absence of God, which is my last book that I published, in the Absence of God. Okay. I was 12 years old when God died. 12 years old when my tears eclipsed the sun, and I was left to grapple with a world too harsh for limited understanding. God was a magic woman, a miracle worker with healing hands that blended bath water into just right, lips that kiss bumps and scrapes into feel better. I once believed that God was forever because no one had prepared me for the absence of grace, life outside the shelter of mama's wings. Confusion brought bitterness, but even in my anger, I never forsook my God, never knelt at the altar of rejection or prayed to false idols. Mama, you were the only God I ever knew. So many years have passed since my baptism in your sacred waters. Still, I remain your child, writing poems in the absence of God.
Wonderful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Now, you're married, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Did you ever write any romantic poems or poems about your wife?
Yeah, I did. I did around the time that I first met her, but no, I didn't write a lot of them. And if I was to try to look through this book, I got three of my books in front of me, and I don't remember which book it was actually in.
Yes,
But
sir.
I think it might be this one.
And my sister says, thank you for sharing. She felt that deep.
I'm glad she liked it.
Yes, sir. And people, thank you all who are watching all across the country. We can't wait to put this on YouTube to hear some more of this amazing poetry, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad that your folks like it. I really appreciate the honor of being on your show. I've heard so much about you and your program, brother. So you do some great things. And I want to thank Brother Joe Mohammed for hooking us up.
Absolutely.
Man, Brother Joe.
Yes, sir. Now, Brother Layding, when you're not working on your craft of poetry, do you listen to music? And if so, what type of music do you enjoy?
I enjoy all kind of music, man. I go all the way back to I was born in 47. I started really getting into music at 3 years old. Because my parents had that old Philips radio that they would put up there, and they would play all those great. So I just tuned into all the stuff my parents was listening to very young, and then I just went straight into the rhythm and blues of the 50s and the doo-wop songs of the 50s and to the present. I like everything, but yeah.
Wonderful. Yes, sir. That's great. We have another question for you, sir. What we want to know is what advice would you give to other poets and or writers or creatives about staying persistent in their craft?
You have to repeat that.
What advice would you give to other writers or creative people in staying persistent in their craft?
Just write from the heart, man, and write about subjects that touch you as an individual. Because when I got serious about writing, that was a promise I kept to myself to tell our story, Black folks' story. When I was going to school, all we learned about is them white folks in poetry and stuff like that. Hey, they write, some of them write great and stuff like that, but they don't tell our story. I wanted to tell our story, so that's what I did. And if any one of y'all gets a chance to pick up one of my books, Brother Joe has them, and it's stand on 127th Street and Malcolm X Boulevard, right there by the mosque. And you can get it from there. You can contact me. If I give you my number, or they can email me if they want to at bright_Calibar at verizon.net. All that's lowercase.
Perfect. Yes, sir. Well, I have one more question for you, sir.
Okay.
What would you like your legacy to be?
What about that? What
would you like your legacy to be?
That tried to do the right thing, my entire life, looked out for us and stayed true to the cause, stayed true to our people, we survived a lot of stuff as a people, incredible. We're the greatest people that was ever put on the planet. And we have to know that, but you have to believe that about yourselves. You can't let other people write your stories or tell you what to feel or believe, so we've done it all and we continue to do it all. And I hope everybody out there that's viewing this and who may hear me in the future will join me in celebrating us every day of our lives and passing it on to our children.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about. Excellent. And what a great legacy that is. Brother Layding, I want to thank you, sir, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. Sister Allison says, that's right. We have to write. Thank you, Sister Allison, for watching. And she's an author as well. And she writes, shout out to you and your amazing book as well. I want to thank you very much for your artistry, and I want to thank your family for assisting you throughout life to help give you, songs that matter. I mean, poetry that matters that you can give to us. We're inspired by arts and culture. So I'm a big fan of poetry. I'm honored that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. And we just want to thank you very much for coming on. Thank everybody who's watching, and we can't wait to put this on YouTube.
Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love.
Yes, sir. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Have a great evening, sir. There we go. Thank you all for